is Aaron again. Welcome to the explanation video for With Apologies to Jethro, Tull from Martin, Barre, Miriam, and me. A few things before we start. 1. Apology is used in the classical sense as an apologia, which is an explanation or a defense. I've written a series of songs that are inspired by particular composers or bands. In this case, Jethro Tull. Ian Anderson is, in my opinion, one of the greatest rock composers ever. He's also a fantastic acoustic guitar player. Much of my cross-picking and styles of flat picking are from studying Jethro Tull and Ian Anderson. 2, the name of the song is actually an homage to one of my favorite Tull tracks from Michael Collins' Jeffrey and Me. You should check it out. It's available online. It's an amazing song that is written from the perspective of Michael Collins, the third person in the Apollo 11 team, the one who remained in the LEM and did not get to walk on the moon. It's one of my favorite Tull songs, and I used the song title as a template for my own. Martin Barre was the longtime lead guitarist of Jethro Tull. I'm not very pleased with the way that Ian Anderson treated Martin Barre. I'm sure Ian gives two shits about that. But Martin Barre was summarily let go from the band after about 40 years. Martin Barre is one of the most important guitarists to me because his lead styles are very different than a lot of what you hear coming out of the 70s with Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck and Eric Clapton, all of the greats who have these, David Gilmour, right? These amazing solos and techniques. And Martin Barre has all of that, but he uses a different style and structure. I feel like his solos tell a counter narrative in the song. And so Martin Barre, huge influence on me. And this and what I think is the greatest electric guitar work I do, I tried to channel two important guitarists, Martin Barre and Narek Roth Patterson, who is a blues guitarist who also is a metal guitarist. He was a student of mine when I taught at Antioch. We've become very good friends. Roth is an amazing guitarist, and he taught me very much that guitar solos need to tell a story. They need to have a point. And so that's what I tried to do in this song. So let's get into the song itself and how it was built. All three parts of this tune originate with acoustic guitar riffs. The first two I wrote around 20 years ago. And so we're in standard tuning. I'm using my Johnny Cash Martin here. It's an acoustic electric with more emphasis on the electric. When I want a pure acoustic sound, I use my Martin SM, which you'll meet here in a little bit. This is one of my favorite riffs I've ever done because it's some complicated cross-picking and some flat picking. Standard tuning, capo on the 2, we're based off of an E minor chord. Right? Then we have the flutes come in. So that's what builds the song. We then go to the bass. Now, the bass, I'm using my Epiphone, and you'll hear this a lot from me. I'm using my Epiphone viola based off of the Hofner bass that Paul McCartney used. I absolutely love this bass. Now, with the bass line, I'm essentially outlining the forms of the chord. You feel that movement that's with, right? It's with the movement, and then it starts to move away from it, right? So the bass line is kind of pushing the riff forward, and we have the flutes that are going on as well. These are not live flutes. I only play the flute a little bit on the trill section because my flute skills have really deteriorated. So most of it is synthesized flute. So we go with the bass line, and we will then put in here the acoustic guitar part as we get to the electric part. Now, this is the real star of the song. This is the body of a Squier Affinity Stratocaster, around $250. I then had Fender single coil noiseless pickups put in with a vintage sound. We've got a roasted maple neck here with good tuners. So this is a 1950 style and feel Stratocaster. It's a part Strat. It is named Narek after one of my all-time favorite guitarists, Narek Roth Patterson, a good friend of mine, blues guitarist, also a metal guitarist. He's in a band with his son called My Dark Reality. You all should give them a look. This guitar I try to make worthy of its namesake. So we can hear... Again, we've got the movement going with it, but then the melody starts to shift a bit, right? So we've kind of got a world building here with two guitars and the bass, and then, of course, the flute. Very simple lines there, right? So that takes us through the first part of the song. Now we'll move on to the next riff. All right, everyone, so the acoustic star of riff number 2 is the aforementioned Martin 15 SM, solid mahogany. This is what's known as an auditorium guitar, so it's a bit larger than a parlor guitar, but smaller than what's called a dreadnought. Now, this is a slot head steel guitar, so you most often see this on Spanish and classical guitars. I like it because it gives also a wider fretboard, which when you do a lot of finger picking and cross picking like I do, having that little bit of extra space, especially when you got kind of stubby fingers, is good. And the tone on this is just unreal. So we're capoed on the 7th fret, and this is the main riff. Right? So you get the basic feel of that. We then have the bass come in, and I'll just play the bass on its own. Maybe I won't. Right. See how it's creating this movement that's counter to the main riff. There can be a lot of temptation to just have the bass kind of thumping there, but it gives it more atmosphere, I think. Now, when we get to this point, this is the second part of the riff. So we have this, and I've got some flute lines that go with it. If I can find that. Oops, no, I don't want to do that. Do that and that. So you hear the flute there. You can hear that bass working, but again, not in direct unison with the guitar. Here is where I think it gets badass. So here we have Narek doing 3 guitar parts. So we feel it building. This is very Martin Barre. This is also very early Metallica. Call and response. Then unison. And then here's where I play with a lot of the panning. Tremolo picking. So what I really love about this is that it's a 3 electric guitar song, and I love 3 electric guitar bands. Def Leppard, Foo Fighters. When you have 3 electric guitars, you can really do some magical stuff. So we've got the rhythm guitar just chunking along with power chords. I'm playing around with a lot of different harmonies here using the same Ionian scales. Doing the panning, I think, really gives some nice atmosphere. And then let's just rock out. You can hear that acoustic guitar still going, right? Very Tull. I desperately need a singer and a drummer. So if you like this, I'm looking for people to collaborate with. Need a solid drummer, and I very much want a front person who can do old style Ian Anderson, Jethro Tull, but man, we're also talking Dio, right? Judas Priest, the epic metal. I really think this song has potential for that. All right, so we get to the third part of the song. Yup, it's a waltz. We're still with Mahogany here, the name of my Martin. Capo on the second again, standard tuning, starting with an E and using open strings to create the rhythm and atmosphere. Typical waltz pattern. Now, I really tried to create space with this because I have a tendency to want to fill things with as many notes as possible. And then what's a very simple riff, most guitarists come up with this sort of thing when they first start playing. This actually goes back to the very first riff my brother ever taught me, but I put a little twist on it. Feel that movement. Now, as I said, I'm using a synthesizer on this part. So I use a plugin for a harp. That's kind of the plinking piano noise, like noise that you hear. I'm just lining it up so we can get the sound. Follows, but not exactly. Stagger it so it's a little, right? Feels like it's an old, creepy, out-of-tune piano somewhere, right? Then going into this part, I use an effect called Dusty Strings. This very much reminds me of REM's Night Swimming, which was an influence here. And then there's another effect that we'll see. Here we have the harp expanding the melody. Very simple lines. We've heard this now, second time through these two riffs. And then it changes. very proud of this particular riff. And that sound you hear there it's the ghostly reverse organ that you have on GarageBand. Now, this is Miriam's favorite. Also, my dear friend Victor Garcia, this is his favorite movement. This I did not plan on, but I think it's a wonderful way to end the song. It has a much different feel than the other two parts. And so, friends, that is it. That is with apologies to Jethro Tull. So I very much enjoyed recording this. This is the quality that you will get if you purchase my album, which will drop on January 1st. More information to come. This most likely is the last single. But thank you for participating, and make sure to watch the other video about emotionally what this song has meant for me. Just remember, this project is about the fact that I'm on medical sabbatical. I can't work right now. And so I'm trying to figure out a way to deal with my bipolar through this music. Perhaps God's telling me I'm meant to be a musician after all. Stay with me on the journey. All right, friends.